Hey, so thank you for clicking on this video. Today we're going to break down my program, my very own program that I created many years ago, and it's inspired by the Jim Wendler program. Now, I know Jim Wendler since has come out and came up with lots of solutions to the criticisms that I have about his programs, but when I ran the Jim Wendler program, I felt it lacked in volume and it lacked in variation. So even with his suggestions of doing drop sets, joker sets, first set, last, it just wasn't working for me. On top of the 90% training max, it just wasn't working. So I created my own program that I felt worked better for me. And I created a program actually that I really liked, I got good results from, and I've over the years shared it with other people who also had good results with this program. So the first thing you must do is enter your 1 rep maxes in these cells right here. You should do it for your pendulate row and your strict overhead press, as well as your 3 main lifts. It's important to note that this program works off your training max, which in my program is 95% of your 1 rep max, not 90%. And then you need to choose 2.5 for kilos or 5 for pounds. This is the rounding, which it rounds to the nearest 5 or 2.5. So that is important. You must choose the right one. This program lasts for 5 weeks. You train 3 days a week. As I said, it works with your training max. You've got a medium intensity, low intensity, and a high intensity day. You've got variation lifts in here. You've got accessory exercises, assistance, hypertrophy-based exercises. So there's a lot going on in this program, a lot more than the likes of the early stage Jim Wendler style training programs. So let's have a look at the overview. So day 1 is your medium intense day. This is your 5s day, your 5 sets of 5. Which you do from week 1 to week 3. You do 70 to 75% of your training max. This is medium intensity. You do your competition lifts for this one. So if you pull sumo, you do a sumo deadlift, conventional. If you're a wide stance squatter, you do wide stance, or if you're narrow bench press, you choose that wide or narrow grip, up to you. So that's what you need to do on this day. Day 2 is your light day, your volume day. This is to focus on sticking points in your main lifts. We'll talk more about that later. You start at 55% of your TM. You finish week 3 65%. You do 5 sets, 4 sets, 3 sets of 8. Each week you reduce the number of sets by 1. Day 3 is your heavy day. We've got 2 separate percentage schemes going on here. But the rep scheme is 5 sets of 3, 4 sets of 3, and 3 sets of 3. So each week you reduce the number of sets by 1. As the intensity increases, you reduce the volume. That's the typical undulated style of training that makes sense, especially for novice and early stage intermediate lifters. Again, this is all working off your training max. Now for the deadlift, you do slightly heavier because the 3 deadlift exercises that I've got given to you as an option are focusing more on the sort of the lockout, the high pull, the above the knee or just a mid-knee position or just below the knee. So it's not off the floor work. That's why I've chosen slightly higher percentages. However, if you are not happy with these percentages, just change them. Now if you want to change them, you quite simply just click on the cell where the weight is. You go up here into the formula bar and you highlight this area right here, the 0.95. Okay, we've chosen 95, and you just change this to what percentage that you want. You can use the same as the squat and the bench, or you can use less based on what works for you. So this program does have that option. It's up to you what you want to do there. You don't have to use the percentages that I have selected. It's up to you. So let's talk a little bit about day 1. So as I said, we do 5 sets of 5 for the primary lifts. Now the secondary lifts, we're doing the strict overhead press here. Make sure you use strict overhead press, not push press. We do 4 sets of 10, so we're doing volume here, and we're doing 55% of our overhead press TM. So we're not doing high intensity here. We're focusing more on volume, hypertrophy. This is also great for helping with the bench press. It has strength carryover to the bench press, especially in that mid-range of the bench. If that's your sticking point, it strengthens the anterior deltoids mostly. So this is a must-do. Rear deltoid flies and dumbbell flies. This is obviously beneficial, especially the dumbbell flies. I never skip my dumbbell flies. You can do more reps if you want. 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 15, whatever works for you. Again, these two are not fixed. You can change this based on what works for you. You can do 4 sets of 12, 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 15, 3 sets of 25, based on what your goal is. But do not burn out and use max effort on this one. Do not use maximal heavy weights, and let it affect the main lifts. That's my only advice there. Day 3 is your volume day, 5 sets of 8 for 3 sets of 8, and you do variation lifts for the main lifts now. So we're not doing our competition lifts anymore. I've given you 3 options for the squat and the close grip, but I have advised only to do stiff leg deadlifts for the deadlifts to help with that. Strengthen the hamstrings, lower back. This is a great exercise. I prefer it over the RDL. Not going to talk about that in this video, but that's my personal opinion, and that's why it's programmed in this program. So let's talk a little bit about which one. So these are obviously to help with your sticking points. So you need to choose the right one for you. So let's look at the drop down list. Let's go to the squat variations first. Okay, the 3-second pause squats, that's good for people who are missing in the hole, struggling in that low bottom range motion of the squat. Banded squat is great for people failing at the top, struggling to lock out the squat. The Anderson squat, you'd set the pins at the position roughly about the mid-range of your squat, and that will help with the mid-range sticking point in your squat. So choose the right one for you. The bench press, the close grip is fantastic for the lockout, strengthening the triceps. 3-second pause, you can do a longer pause if you want. Great for people failing off the chest. And then the spotto press, you can normally about 2 to 4 inches off the chest, normally 2 to 3 inches actually. The spotto press is great for people who are struggling in that mid-range of the bench press. I hated the spotto press originally when I first started powerlifting, so I didn't do it for like 3 years. But about 2 years ago, I just fell in love with it, and now every program I create for myself or for others, I incorporate the spotto press. So I'm a big fan of that. Not many people use it. It's commonly neglected in the powerlifting community, but I do advise this. It's a great exercise. That's just my thoughts on that. And then you got your leg press. A great accessory exercise for powerlifting, especially here's a lot of carryover for your squat mostly. Again, don't use max effort. Don't put as many plates as you possibly can and burn out on this. 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps is ideal, or you could do a little bit more, 4 sets of 10 to 12, based on what works for you and your endurance. Got the barbell front squats, 4 sets of 10, and you can choose how much weight you want to use for that. But again, don't max out on this, maybe an RP of about 7 to 8.5. And then calf raises. Now I've included a tutorial video there because the number of people I see do calf raises wrong, I mean, I can't even count now anymore, because I own my own gym. I see probably thousands of people over the years do it wrong. So it just will help you if you're not sure if you're doing the calf raises properly. This will help. So then you got the day 3, which is your max effort day, your heavy day, where you do your sets of 3. Okay, we start with 5 sets of 3, 4 sets of 3, and week 3 we do 3 sets of 3. Remember, we got 2 different percentages going on here, a different one for the bench and the squat and the deadlift. So for the squat and the bench, we have the option. Again, we're doing some variation exercises here. We're not actually using our competition lifts. We've got the reverse banded squats. If you're not sure how to do this, I will include a tutorial video in the blog post about how to set up the reverse bands. And then for the bench press, you're actually going to be doing a block press. Now, if you're not sure what a block press is, again, I'll put a tutorial video in there, but you should be aware of what it is. I'll also include a link to a product that I bought off Amazon, a block, and it's fantastic. It's so good I actually went out and I ordered another one, just in case I lose this one or leave it at the gym or someone takes it. It's not that expensive. I can't remember how much it is, but it's not expensive. It's not a big investment. You don't need to sell your card to buy one. Highly advise just ordering it off Amazon or ordering it from another. If you know somewhere that sells it, just get that from there. If your gym has them, use them. So that you're going to use the block press. Now, these are kind of your max effort style training. You're not actually going to be doing your competition lift for these ones. And then you've got for the deadlift, you've got 3 options here. The block trap barbells, the rack pulls, or the high block pull. Now with the rack pull, I advise to do this just above the knee or just mid knee or just below the knee, but in that range roughly, but no higher than that. And then you've got the high block pull. Again, set the position to roughly about in line with your knees. Why I put this in here is because my old gym didn't actually have like a squat cage or a squat rack, so I couldn't actually even do rack pulls, so I had to use the blocks in the gym. Really weird, who has blocks but not a squat cage or a squat rack? So that's why that's in there. And then the block trap barbell pull, this actually helps with you you're pulling off the floor, as well as the lockout, the top range of motion of the deadlift. So a lot of people choose this when I do give them this program, but I prefer the rack pull. So if you have any other ideas of exercises you want to do, you can just change it by literally going to the drop list, going to here, and actually no, that will get a little bit complicated. Just replace one of these with whatever you want to do. So you could do, I don't know, you can do whatever you want to do, basically. I'm not going to write it down right now. We won't go into that, but you can change that if you want to. So that's the program. Let's talk a little bit about week 4. So the week 4 is when you chase your PR. Now, this is my routine that I used at the time. So the first and second set, your 1 set 5, 1 set 3. Now that's working off your training max, but obviously the heavy singles are not. You do 3 heavy sets of 1 where you're chasing your PR. For the squat and the deadlift, you do 102, 105, and 107. But I must note that when I ran this program twice, I actually did 110% for my deadlift. So I actually did a little bit more for my deadlift. So that's something to bear in mind. But for the bench, every time, I didn't get any more than 5% more than my current squat bench PR. So this one's probably just about right for you. And then week 5 is your deload week, where you just really do 3 sets of 8 at 50% of your TM. This week is just really based on recovery before you run this program again. And that's all written down here, what exercises you need to do and the RPE that you should be working at, roughly about what sort of RPE you should be working at. And then week 6, you can either jump back into the program again and run it again. Alternatively, if you feel like you're a little bit burnt out, you can take that week off just to rest and recover, and so that you're ready for the next time that you run this program. So that's the program, all sorted, done there, talked about. Check out my website blog post if you haven't got the link for this video from there. And if you have any questions, you can comment on my YouTube, send me a message on Instagram, or comment on my website, the blog post. Good luck with this program. I hope it goes well. I hope you make some gains, and stay strong and keep lifting.